Okay, wait, I'm trying to find the record button. Oh shit, I already found it and I'm recording. Awesome. What's up, Weirdlings? Hi, I'm Danielle, and today I am going to be answering questions, and not just any questions. Mary the Knitting Dev, another amazing contributor for the Weirdlings, is super great about watching all of our contributors' videos. However, she is the best at asking the best questions about art on my videos. So I wanted to take a second to answer some of the amazing questions that Mary has thrown at me over the course of the YouTubes and in the presence of her brain in a current space. I hope that made sense. So my first question is, what are some of my favorite tools and go-to art tool things? And to answer that very excitedly and excessively, I love everything. Whenever I was really young, I really enjoyed colored pencils because of the way that they blend together, and Prismacolor is gonna be kind of my brand of choice for most everything. Their colors blend together really well, they're very seamless, and there's just a really satisfying texture to them. There's also lots of really different and cool ways to combat some pretty normal problems with colored pencils. Like if they get really brittle, you can stick them in the freezer for a little while and it will allow the color to kind of like reabsorb itself with the wood so that they stick together better. And then if it's not being very oily, like if the color's coming off really chalky almost, then you can stick them in the microwave for like literally 2 seconds and it gets things re-jellified so that everything kind of blends really nicely. My favorite medium is watercolors. The unpredictability of certain parts of watercolor, plus like the magic of feeling kind of like a waterbender, is super duper cool. And as like, I guess, an adult artist or like a, you know, professional artist, I really enjoy Copic markers because they have amazing color payoff. They react a lot like watercolors and you can blend them really easily, and you can also get really crisp, clean, almost Photoshop or digital quality prints with them if you really know what you're doing. So those would definitely be a few of my faves. Another question is, what are some of my daily art practices or things that I do on the regular that help me keep up my artistic skills? So I paint for a living, which allows me to paint 8 hours a day. I realize that for persons who aren't lucky enough, or maybe not career artists enough to be able to dedicate that much time to art, but I recommend really dedicating at least an hour in your schedule to be able to sit down and take time with your pen, your pencil, your paper, your digital media, whatever you want, and really practice. It kind of depends on what kind of art you like, but everybody that I've ever known that's been an artist has always complained about drawing hands and feet. So when I was a kid, I drew hands and feet in spirals all day long. And now I really find myself finding the hands and feet some of the most expressive parts of the body, and I think that practice as a child really helped me get excited about doing more practices with how to push those emotions through the hands and the toes and the feet in my current arting. So I think something that I'm trying now is really paying attention to how to take my art to the next level by paying attention to things like micro expressions and doing lots more live drawing and figure study. A really big problem that Miyazaki talks about is like an otaku culture of animators, because these people are basing their drawings off of people's drawings and not real people. So they've been watching anime their whole lives and then going and using that anime as inspiration to create their own, when, you know, part of what makes Miyazaki's films so magical is the human moments that happen, like when Chihiro kicks her shoe on and taps it with her toe, or when she's struggling to throw the charcoal into the fire, and you can really see the strain in her back and the fact that like her weight is actually evenly distributed where it's supposed to be. These are things that you have to learn from life drawing. So do what you can, pose your hand in front of yourself, take some selfies, and draw yourself. Do something that allows you to draw real people so that you can translate that and break the rules on your own after. Another question is how I utilize and implement light observation in my drawings. So I think whenever I first started drawing, I was very much focused on learning how to draw things appropriately, meaning making a dog look like a dog and making a person look like a person. And now that I've kind of grown past that particular milestone in art, I'm very much sensitive to making things look well lit. And part of the way that I learned how to do that was through my job. We do these things called drop shadows on borders that I paint around the restaurant. And a drop shadow has to consider a direction of light. So for the restaurant that I work for, we consider our direction of light to almost always be from the top left corner of the room that we're in. It's kind of like always imagining the sun rising in the east. So that means that the shadows would always be cast to the right of whatever I'm painting, and that the highlights would always be on the left of whatever I'm painting. This allows me to have like a consistent kind of like cornerstone to go back to in case I kind of forget, or if I get messed up, I can always remember, okay, my light is coming from this area. That means that these planes would be hit by the light. This area is recessed, so it would not be hit by the light. And then this area is very obviously the furthest thing away from the light, so that would be shadow. Now, in taking that into something a little bit more difficult, like drawing a person, you have to kind of think about where that light is going to hit the planes of your face. So like, what are the highest points of your face? It's going to be your the middle of your forehead, your nose, possibly your chin, and maybe your cheeks. And then you just kind of, highlight those areas, appropriately blend with the rest, and then find the shadows that are going to naturally happen, which would typically be underneath your eyebrows, kind of on the inner sides of your eyebrows, maybe under your chin. It all just kind of depends. I always recommend picking a light source, and if you are so inclined, you can even get an extra piece of paper, or if you're in Photoshop, you can do this on a transparent layer. Draw a light. That way you have a reference and you can constantly check yourself. I also recommend looking up photography tutorials on how to light a subject. This is very helpful for drawing, and it's also very helpful for photography and reference photos. So you can utilize these steps in order to look up a certain type of lighting and then find models who have this on them and then translate that into your work. Our last question for the video is my favorite one, I think. Mary really wants to know what my blending situation has become, because that is a technique of mine that she adores and is very interested in how I got to the point where I am capable of implementing it fairly well into my artwork. I am a really, really big proponent for color theory. It is something that I struggled with in college because I had a really hard time learning how to pair colors together. I knew the things like, primary, secondary, tertiary colors, but I really wasn't aware of anything like split complementary and monochromatic, analogous, stuff like that. These, being aware of color theory and the way that color relationships work is another thing that can really, really help blending colors together. Knowing when crisp and harsh lines are really important and when it's appropriate to blend is one of the things that I've really just taken a lot of interest in, because it's one of those tiny details that I feel like elevates your work from learning how to draw a dog to learning how to draw a more realistic looking dog or a more stylized dog. So finding appropriate places to blend, like anything that is on the edges of a piece, that's a really great place to blend, because it's going to allow the focus to shift to the main stage of your drawing. I also suggest keeping things that are in the background pretty muted and well blended, because that's going to allow the things in your foreground to shine. I think one of my favorite things is just going with colors that really challenge me. I hate the color orange. This maybe is kind of dumb, but it was something that I just absolutely avoided for the longest time in my work because I really didn't like it. It was something that I felt like incited rage in me. And now, I don't really have a rage against orange or anything like that. I'm actually really excited to challenge myself to find new and better ways to incorporate colors that I was afraid of using before. And I think that's where the blending comes back in, because blending those colors together and finding a way for them to harmonize allows me to feel a lot more comfortable with those colors being in my pieces. I feel like every color has a place and every color has a purpose, and as long as you're utilizing those colors for their purposes and then using that blending to accentuate what's going on, then you can really tell a story without even having a visual anchor. If you use your colors properly, they have a language all on their own, and just adding a figure on top of it just makes it that much more fun to have to figure out how you can make those colors play with that figure. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the answers, and I hope, Mary, that you enjoyed your answers too. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out me, Mary, and the rest of the Weirdlings at theweirdlings.com. We do everything from board games to video games, comic book, and classic gaming. Check out our Twitch streams for some amazing content, and I will see you next time.